Welcome to Boobalicious. This podcast is about breast cancer, but not in the way you've ever heard it before.
We widen the conversation to include all things health and wellness, long after those appointments stop.
We bring expert guests and real conversations. I'm Chris, a breast cancer survivor, mom of two.
I'm Jenny, a physical therapist specializing in breast cancer.
Join us and subscribe.
Hi, this is Jenny. I just wanted to jump on here and say that today's episode with Brittney and Bethany, our conversation was so beautiful. So we talked a little bit longer than usual. And as a result, we are going to present it in two different episodes. So today's episode is the first one, and then stay tuned. Next week, we'll drop the second half. I fell in love with our guests' friendship watching them on Instagram. So kind of as like stalker energy coming from me, but your accounts are just so full of like good vibes and humor, and it's easy to forget what you're even talking about, that often there's a thread of metastatic breast cancer going on through there. But I'm kind of a little bit fangirling here, but I'm so excited to introduce Bethany Adair.
Yep, Adair.
And-
Yeah.
And you might know her as My Guru Cancer on socials, and Brittney Beadle. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome. So, can we start at the very beginning, ladies? How did you guys meet? What was that process? Because I know everybody's so enthralled by your friendship.
I can start first. I don't know the exact way we got connected online. Like it could have been, I feel like a friend of mine reached out and be like, have you seen this girl, Brittney Beadle, who was diagnosed with MBC at 18, and she's just like the most positive ray of sunshine. So Brittney, I think I followed you first as a fangirl and was like, oh my God, like this girl is like living it,
Next
not
level.
just like all these things. I have a background in like yoga therapy and mindfulness and stuff like that. I'm like, this girl's just living it. Like I had to study and do all these things, but she's just like naturally living it. And then like most internet cancer relationships, we just started messaging more and more. And I think I sent you my book at some point. And then, and I don't know how far down the road this was, but my family, I'm from Florida originally, where Brittney lives. I fly in and out of Orlando when I see my family in Vero Beach. So like it just happened to line up where I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in town. And we met for a Mexican lunch. And it was like the instant, could not stop talking, sharing, bonding. And I don't even know when that was. Do you?
Yeah, it's been like I feel like so many years ago
I
at
know,
this point, right?
lifetimes ago.
Yeah, it's insane how like you meet someone on social media and a bond forms, and then you meet them in person, and you just like the bond forms even more. And I remember just lighting up when I met you, and we were eating tacos and just talking and laughing and sharing not only like cancer stuff, but just like regular everyday stuff too,
Life stuff.
So yeah.
And there is something magical with, if we're all lucky to have experienced this, when you meet someone, you're like, oh, we know each
That's
other
my
past
girl.
life, or
That's
that is my person. Yeah.
That's my person.
And extra fun when it's like you've been following and connecting with that person online, and extra fun where it's like, oh, this is the real deal with that person too. Because you kind of never know, where you meet like someone might present a certain way online, but in person it's like, oh my God, I love you even more.
It's interesting. I feel like the people that I've met, that's only happened with social media within the cancer community. Like those connections, because when you meet up, you just are raw, you're real, you're authentic. So it's like one of the silver linings about social media, I guess, for our community.
Yeah, I agree. I like my main community is from people I've met online, and I love it so much.
I was going to ask if each of you don't mind just giving us like a quick synopsis of your diagnosis, if that's okay, where you are, what's going on.
Yeah.
You want to go first, Bethany? Or
you can go ahead, and then I'll.
Okay. Well, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer when I was 18 years old. After being told 18-year-olds don't get breast cancer, I found my lump, and then was told 18-year-olds don't get breast cancer and sent home. And 3 months later, I went back because my nipple had become inverted. So,
Yeah.
but turns out 18-year-olds do get breast cancer,
so.
and they actually also get metastatic breast cancer. So I was actually diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer at the age of 18 years old.
Does it run in your family, Brittany? Or
It doesn't, no. So I don't have the gene, I don't have BRCA or anything. I just
oh,
Just, yeah.
God, yeah.
just got it, yeah. And
Yeah.
I've been living with it for it'll be 11 years in May.
Oh,
Congratulations. I think that's
yeah.
amazing.
you.
I think this is great to talk about because a lot of the doctors, that's the feedback I got too. You're too young. This didn't apply to you. And I feel like with you, the same thing happened to me with the inverted nipple. So that's something just to, I don't know, be aware of. And then also your intuition. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you followed that.
And like
And
advocate for yourself too, right? Because if I didn't go back, if I listened to them saying
Exactly.
18-year-olds don't get breast cancer, I don't know where I would be right now. But
Yeah.
because I saw something was truly not right, 3 months later, I went back and, had the biopsy. I
good for
pushed
you.
for it and
Mhm.
And kudos to
found
you
out.
because it's not easy to advocate for yourself at any point in your life, but at 18, like,
Yeah.
I had the
Especially
help of my mom, by the
Yeah.
way.
good. Your
She
mom
helped a lot with it.
Your mom sounds awesome, but especially against a doctor who's
Yeah.
trained for
Right, the
years.
expert.
And
Mhm.
as a
Yeah.
woman, if we speak up, we're to this or to that. And we don't know what we're talking about sometimes, especially to a trained professional. So I'm really happy that your mom and you really advocated for yourself. Where are you
Mm.
at now with your journey?
Well, currently, I am going through a little rough patch. I'm on my 9th line of treatment right now.
Okay.
And the cancer is in my bones, my liver, my pancreas, my
Mm.
brain. It's kind of everywhere, but we
Mhm.
are working on it. We're
Mhm.
working on I'm on chemotherapy right now. Like I said, I'm on my 9th line of treatment right now.
Okay.
I get treatment to my brain. I had full brain radiation and gamma
Mhm.
knife, which is a targeted radiation done 5
Okay.
separate times over the years. So I am going through a rough patch, but we
Yeah.
are figuring it out.
Right. Yes.
Figuring it out.
Working out. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing?
Yes, I have to also because Brittany's probably the most humble like person I've ever met. So I
Mm.
have to emphasize a few parts of your story,
Please.
Brittany, if you don't
I love
mind.
this. Love this.
I feel like,
Mm.
first of all, going through that, I was diagnosed at 34 with stage 2 breast cancer. So like I had my teens and my 20s cancer free.
Mhm.
And just the mere like experience, I can't imagine going through that at 18. I mean, she literally like had her double mastectomy on prom night,
I read
where
that.
like
That's
her
something that
girlfriend was, coming to visit her in her prom dress. And then she had her first round of chemo. It was graduation day, like went to graduation that same day. And, the fact that it started out so rough with like, you did everything right. You took the lump
Mhm.
to the doctor right away. They found the lump on the mammogram, but decided not to biopsy it for the exact reason you're too young. I feel like Brittany has like every reason to be really angry and pissed at the world, right?
Yeah.
And the universe and doctors and medicine. But instead, she's like just the complete opposite. And she's
Mm.
just one of the most positive, beautiful, kind hearted, like optimistic people I've ever met in my entire life.
Mhm.
And it's like such a treasure to know you as a friend, a person. And she has outlived every single prognosis
Oh.
that any doctor has given her. And
Oh
she's
my
heard
God.
some tough things in her life, like things no one should ever hear at any age.
Mhm.
And just went through a huge crazy thing in October. While we're all like breast cancer awareness month, getting overwhelmed there, she was in the hospital for a month and
Mhm.
and told really scary news that she may even have a few days to live. And I
Oh my
and I
God.
remember a text when I finally got to talk with you. I know I was like speaking to your incredible husband, and your best friend was like updating me too. And she's just like, I'm gonna fucking walk out of here. Like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. And her mom was saying the same thing, and her husband, like, you guys don't know Brittany Beadle. And like, she
Oh,
did.
love it.
And here we are 4 months later,
Oh.
and like we got to see each other a month ago. And I just like I could not be more in awe of this human.
Ah,
And I'll shout out her book,
yes.
which is
Me
called
too.
A Piece of Hope. And this is like,
Aw.
it's called A Piece of Hope, and it very much is. And it's just like
Mm.
the way she navigated every crazy curveball with like such grace and joy and love, and doesn't ignore like that it's really hard at times too. And I
Yes.
think we both share that
Yeah.
perspective of like letting ourselves fall apart and break down and feel those emotions. Like we're
Yes.
not denying or trying to bypass, the hard stuff, but like we both work really hard to stay in love and gratitude when we can. And it's not always possible, but anyways, I love you. So there's my
I was
I'm
gonna say
she's
I love
so
you so
humble, and I'm
much.
like
I was trying
I don't even know you
um,
both, and I love you both.
I
I
know,
have to
I'm telling
say.
you.
Oh my
I
God.
was trying like not to like talk too much, and you're just like,
I
no, let me
because
tell
your
you.
story is insanely incredible.
I
Like I
know, but
think
I just
about
want
you
to
all the
like
time.
Wait, can I just
Even
ask?
my husband too, we've had moments recently where we're like, if Brittany Beadle can do this, like we can do that. Like we've had a like, what would Brittany do? What
Mhm.
filter in our head. And it's
Brittany, is that just been your personality? Like, where?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom raised me to like believe in miracles and just
Hmm.
so she kind of prepared me, I feel like, for my diagnosis because
Right.
she just
I'm
raised me that way. She raised me to just look at the bright side of things, but
Mhm.
also to feel your emotions, like Bethany was saying, because you have to like feel through everything, you
Yeah.
know, to
I
get
didn't learn that emotion lesson until I was like well into my 40s with like decades of therapy. So
yeah,
I'm also in awe of
yeah.
that, that you're able
Yeah.
to, yeah.
It's
yeah. I
really
always have like, a little breakdown first and then release it and then eventually the light comes back,
I,
it just
I think it's good for people to have breakdowns and let it out
It's
and like
so
really,
healing.
grieve the things you need to grieve. I think the pretending, some people kind of go the other way, and I don't think that's good either. I mean, just for
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
But wow, what happened on prom night? Why did you have to do that on prom night? Oh my God. For
Well, they
18
told
or
me I was gonna be cancer free because they thought I was in
Oh.
early stage, and so I
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, well, it's worth it to me to skip prom so that I could live." And
yeah.
like Bethany said, my best friend since kindergarten came to visit me in her beautiful, prom dress. I'm in my little hospital gown. It
Oh,
just lit me up so much that it was
yeah.
her and her date who came, and it was so nice to
Aw.
have them there. So for me, in the moment, it was worth it. Uh,
Mhm.
obviously, I was not cancer free, but I have no regrets.
Right.
You
Yeah.
really just live in the moment, and I feel like we're all just trying to get there. I know I am.
Mhm.
It's a daily struggle, but it's an
Bethany,
inspiration. Mhm.
I was reading up on you and you said something that I was like, oh, you said, even though I was trained in peace, I completely lost it during the diagnostic phase. And one, I thought so relatable.
Yeah.
And just the fact that, like, yes, you had, so what I know of your story, Bethany, was how you had been practicing yoga, teaching yoga, and then you had gone through, was it a mindfulness course?
Training, yeah. It's called the work of Baron Katie. I call it a mindfulness practice, but it's a form of self-inquiry, but very much like just like we work with the body, in yoga and movement, it's kind of like
Mhm.
yoga for the mind and
Mm.
helping us sort of catch the scary stories that are running through our heads when we are spiraling, and then kind of identify and question them. So it was like a huge life-changing practice for my own life.
Mhm.
And I got certified in that practice 2 months before my first diagnosis, which I had other plans for
Yeah.
how I was going
It's almost
to
like the
share
universe
that
is like,
work.
yeah, your universe is like,
Yeah.
here's the ultimate final project.
Yes. Yes. It's like,
Yeah.
this is what you've been training for. I'm like, oh, but
It's
I always, I love to share that, like, because I had that background, you would think that my first reaction would be, yeah, like dive into those tools and
Right.
use them and immerse
Totally.
myself. And I did the total opposite. I was also no family history of breast cancer and like felt so healthy. I did find my own lump, but I had had many lumps. They started in
Mm.
my late 20s, and I always took them to a doctor for an ultrasound of some sort. And they were I was told it was either a swollen lymph node or a cyst. So this lump was the only one I didn't get checked out right away.
Wow.
I waited a whole year and found a lump in my armpit. And that's when I was like, that's weird. So lots of lessons in this journey, which is why I call it my guru cancer. But advocating and listening to your body and taking anything new and strange or different right to doctors, and then pursuing it if you don't like the answer you hear. It's kind of like a spinoff of Brittany's story, because she did take it right to the doctors. And then I went through, it was a late stage 2, early 3 breast cancer. And that's like, that journey is really the chunk of the book. It was like intimately ins and outs of that journey, and kind of jumping around in time a little bit to how life did prepare me in this weird way to go through this. I really thought, I was pronounced physically cancer-free after my double mastectomy, and then did radiation and all that stuff too, and chemo, but I thought it was over. And so I had about 5.5 years of remission, and then it came back stage 4 in 2021. So I'll hit 5 years officially with MBC. I always get confused around, I say 5 years, but obviously it never actually went away because it came back. So I don't know how long I've been living with MBC, but officially I'll hit the 5-year mark this year. And then, 11 years. We were diagnosed the same year, 2015, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
15.
Yeah.
You were, Bethany, you were ERPR positive, HER2 positive, or
ER positive, HER2 negative. So now, there's been new research about HER2 low. So that didn't exist around my first diagnosis. Nobody knew what HER2 low or ultra low was. I always thought I was HER2 negative. So what it is, do you know about it?
I don't.
No,
It's
Super
I
freaking
yeah.
exciting.
I was HER2 positive, but when I was diagnosed, this didn't exist. So now I'm just
So this
learning.
is literally within, I don't know the exact date, but the past couple years, they've identified sort of this subgroup that's like a middle ground in HER2, where on reports it reads HER2 negative. But if you look at the report, and by the way, I learned about this from an oncologist on Instagram. This is how I found out. The onc doc. It was a post from him, and he told us how to go to our pathology report, wherever, your FISH report or whatever that talks about. But wherever you found out you were HER2 negative or positive, if it says HER2 negative, you look at your IHC score, and there's a number next to it. So if it's 2+ or above, HER2 positive. But if it's 1+ or 0, you are considered HER2 low or ultra low. At least the metastatic breast cancer setting is it opens up some doors for you to have access to lines of treatment and HER2 therapy. So these are things I would not have had access to before. And my most recent medication in HER2 is that's the reason I could get on it. And it was a complete miracle for my body. So it's very exciting in our world, first of all, to learn about any kind of new treatment that's approved. But this, I wouldn't have had access to 5 years ago.
Was it still the Herceptin? Is it still the Herceptin?
No, it was in HER2 by itself. And I know there's lots of
difference. Yeah,
these are questions I'm asking now. I'm do you pair it with Perjeta? Do you, I don't know. It was just in HER2 for me, for HER2 low. So it's very exciting. So I'm now considered ER positive, HER2 low. And then I do carry a mutation called the ESR1 mutation, which is not genetic. So it's not something you would have inherited. It's something that if you've been on hormone treatment for a while, your body can develop this mutation in resistance to hormone therapy. So it happened to me, and it was the reason I progressed on hormone therapy. So what's kind of neat about this new setting of what they call genomic mutations, genomic sequencing, biomarker testing, it all has different names, of course, to make it more confusing. But these rare mutations can help guide treatment plans for us. So they lead to targeted therapies. I was on one for the ESR1 mutation in particular, and it's kind of a new, exciting area in research. So if you're having progression, I always tell people your best friend is biomarker testing right away. That could be a biopsy from tissue, or liquid biopsy, which is a blood test that can kind of see if you have any rare mutations. And sometimes there's some there that are targetable, and sometimes it's not, but it's something I monitor often throughout life.
That is great information.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We all have like people who've gone through a diagnosis. It's like you just have to get a degree in it. You sound
Oh my
like,
God, I know.
you know,
I didn't even know what an oncologist was at the beginning of all this, so I'm like, we've learned a lot and
I'm
still
like, how
feel
many
like,
doctors do I need?
Yeah.
Like, who does what? What does, and then now, so many years later, you just like, you sound like one of
Yes,
the
you do sound like a
doctors.
doctor.
I
Dr.
joke
Bethany.
that like we speak medical now. We
Yes.
become kind of fluent in medical.
Thank you for joining us today on Boobalicious. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this with the Breastie who needs it. And also, don't forget to support our sponsors. We donate a portion of the proceeds to a charity that supports cancer patients in need. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to DM us on Boobalicious Pod. We welcome all questions and topic suggestions.
The conversations on Boobalicious are based on personal experiences and professional insight, but they are not intended to replace your medical advice. Always consult your doctor or licensed healthcare provider for medical guidance specific to your situation. We're here to support, not prescribe. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.